Hi, friends. So excited to have you back for another episode of Regarding Consciousness. And today, we don't just have a guest, we have a dear friend, a colleague, and world famous medical medium, Kimberly Meredith. Wow. I get a lot of books for this show, and I'm so grateful for all of the incredible guests we've had on and the books I've been given over the years. Though, when I was given Kimberly Meredith's book, Awakening to the Fifth Dimension, it literally changed my life. I remember voraciously reading the book and going page to page as I learned about what was the fifth dimension and, more importantly, the incredible story and journey that Kimberly Meredith went on. From going to being a nurse, which I resonate with since my mother herself was a nurse for about 40 years, then to transitioning to television and to having two near-death life experiences that transformed her life and now have transformed the lives of millions of other people around the world, thanks to hearing about her journey. Kimberly, my friend, I love you. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Feelings are mutual. I really adore you. I am so excited that we're going to be working together and helping people awaken more to the fifth dimension.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll be sure to put that in the show notes, depending on when and where you're listening to this. Kimberly and I have a class starting in about a month on April 27th about awakening to your fifth dimensional superpowers. So that'll be at 11 a.m. Pacific time every Thursday for 7 weeks. And you can learn more about that. And Kimberly, for some of our listeners out there, we've had Deepak and Don and all these wonderful thought leaders on consciousness on, but nobody has talked about the fifth dimension. Do tell us, what is the fifth dimension and how can we connect to it?
Well, I think the fifth dimension is very personalized because everybody has their own experience of being in this dimensional frequency, and some people have not experienced it yet. I experienced it when I had my near-death experience because I lost my life.
Mm.
I had two of them. And after that, my life completely shifted. And how could it not?
Mm.
I coded at Cedar Sinai Hospital. And after that, I became a full blown trance channeler
Mm.
medium. And then I had a miraculous awakening through the omnipresent. Some people call the omnipresent God, Holy Spirit.
Mm.
And that energy is a dimensional frequency energy that helps you understand that we live in a world of different dimensions. As many of us can see, that we are experiencing such these high vibrational shifts happening, and you can jump into these different dimensions, which we'll be talking a lot about in this class. And I talk a lot about in my book called The Awakening to the Fifth Dimension. The third dimensional frequency is the worry and the fear and all this dis-ease that goes on in our body, and it can be embraced in our body through emotion and through environmental pollution and all kinds of different frequencies. And in mine, I had a lot of different traumas in my life, and in fact the accident was a frequency of 3D.
Mm.
And when I had my awakening in the accident, I had been blessed through the spirit of the omnipresent awakening me into this dimension. The fifth dimension is really surrendering to this miracle.
Mm.
And miracles happen every day for people. It's just sometimes people have a choice to accept the dimension or not. And when you actually get into this dimension, it's so fun and cool because healing happens super fast and gifts happen super fast for you. And many of my clients that experience this dimension, or I teach them how to get into the dimension, they'll come back and they'll say, wow, it's not that hard to get into. So that's how I initially got into this dimension. And then also to explain it a little simpler, I started going out after I was healed by being in the fifth dimension. I started learning how to become a medical intuitive medium and started doing healings on other people by being told to do my work in the fifth dimensional frequency.
It's so powerful. I remember one of the things that I found compelling in the book is this idea that so many of us live in a three-dimensional reality where we have fear, we have doubt, we have scarcity and worry and competition. Though I loved what you shared in the book where you talked about how we actually jump, so many of us, unless maybe you're the Dalai Lama or you or a few enlightened people here on the planet, so many of us are jumping and vacillating between the fifth dimension and the third dimension. And I think we see it all in our day-to-day lives. It was funny. I was actually at a party last night with some of my new friends in Lisbon. And they were saying, Jen, you are so kind and so sweet. And I was like, oh, guys, you don't know. I was like straight up Devil Wears Prada. I'm a recovering jerk. I was terrible in my 20s, my early 20s, particularly in late teens. And I gave them some examples. And I will say, Kimberly, that you and I have become dear friends. That thanks to our friend Noah. Shout out to Noah Berman who introduced us.
Yeah.
We love Noah. Big hugs to you, Noah. And despite for me personally having been on a 20-year spiritual journey now, I still am human. We still might be reactive in a moment, or we might judge ourselves or others. And tell us a little bit about that. How can we learn to spend more time in the fifth dimension and still have compassion for ourselves when we're in that third dimensional lack and scarcity mindset?
I feel like um, people, because we're in a world that moves us in and out of dimensional frequencies, when we're living in a fifth dimensional mindset, and that's where the book talks about, because the book is channeled by the guides. And in fact, I'm very blessed that I stayed alive. And the purpose of keeping me here, even now, I'm grateful to be here. I live in gratitude every day, is to help teach people what you exactly asked the guides, is that we're human, we're having a human experience, but we are tested
Mm,
all the time. And when we are tested, we want to come from, it's like the ego or I go.
mm,
And I always say that it's good to be tested. It's good to say sometimes, I love when clients ask me a question and they say to me, I don't know. And I say, you don't need to know all the answers. And when you feel like a jealousy or a judgment towards someone, that is the lower ego. It's feeling an insecurity. And it's also, I feel like it is a lower dimension. And
mm,
that's the time you go into loving that person and loving, pushing more love and pushing yourself more into the higher frequency. I feel that most people are on your side. Most people do love you. And I feel that when you truly are in this higher dimensional frequency, the energy bounces back to you and loves you, which is the God frequency and the healing energy of love.
mm. Yeah, I can definitely feel that. I mean, I think that the greatest person that we have the opportunity to learn to give compassion to is ourselves. I love this meditation
Exactly.
I often listen to. And she says, remind yourself that when you're in the dark, to give yourself more love, not
Exactly.
because I don't know about you, Kimberly, or any of you out there listening, but when I feel like crap, when it's like first you judge someone and then you get into a loop of judging yourself and you're like, oh, what a dick you are. You've been doing spiritual work for 10, 15, 20 years. How dare you judge this person? And then you start judging yourself. And then it's this vicious cycle of judging them, judging you, judging yourself. And you got to just like pull yourself out of it. So, gratitude. I love that you shared gratitude, Kimberly. One of my favorite tips that I always share with people is that when I'm really angry and I have the presence of mind to do it, I will force myself in that moment to write down 100 things I'm grateful for. And sometimes I'm like, "All right, fine." You just write it down, though it can really shift your moment or shift your mindset in a moment.
Yeah. And I think also, Jen, um, there's that time in our lives when we're a child, and I talk about it a little bit in my book about that I was raised as being bullied, and
Mm.
I was a child that was hurt, and I was born with gifts, and a lot of people that read my book relate to that. And there's the wounded kid. You're not a victim, but there's a part of you that's been wounded. And when you grow up like that, you think the universe is not for you. But in fact, there's a big part of the journey right now where the whole country, the whole world feels that. And that's why we're stuck in the 3D. And basically what's happening is we're vastly shifting right now, and we are healing, and we are moving into the awakening and the ascension. And what's so cool about the fifth dimension is whether we want it or not, we are going into the fifth dimension. We are being healed. And so why I know that is because when I do my work, I put my hands on people's injuries and lumps and tumors, and we pray, and they vanish. So that's the awakening, and it's happening anyway. So
Yeah.
it's super cool, and that's letting go of. It's like being a kid, the letting go of the ego and the I go, and it's the healing, and it's so cool.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm gonna tout you a little bit here. I'm gonna share 2 recent stories that Kimberly shared. One was there was a show she was on, and I think it was a woman who put you down on the show and said, you said, "Oh, you might wanna get this looked into." How did that go? Do you wanna share it? 'Cause it's one of my favorite stories, and I don't wanna get the details wrong.
Oh, okay. So I do medical mediumship readings on people, and I go through the body and I can see if you have like a thyroid lump or a thyroid tumor or Hashimoto's or a knee injury. I just go through your whole body, and I get messages from my guides, and they'll tell me different things that are going on. So I do this in person at events, and I do it on Zooms and classes. So I was in a class, and this is what Jennifer's talking about. And a lady in this class wanted me to, pick the things that she knows that's wrong. But my guides love to do preventative health readings. And also,
Mhm.
because we like to save lives. And I knew that her knee had an issue. And she said, yes, that's right. And I knew that there was a thyroid issue. And she's like, yes, that's right. And the class was fairly large. And I heard my guide say that she had an issue with her heart,
Mm.
and they would not stop. So what happens, my guys will just keep going on and on about it. And also her mother was coming in. Her mother had recently crossed over. So I do get message from the other side also. And her mom kept saying, tell her to get her heart checked. Tell her to get her heart checked.
Oh.
But I also knew, and I'm getting chills right now again, I also knew it was really, really not good. Like I wouldn't say that in a whole group that this is serious.
Mm.
Um, but she kept saying, no, nothing's wrong with my heart. Nothing's wrong with my heart. And she said it pretty adamantly in the group. Nope, nothing's wrong with my heart. So after the class was over, she tossed and turned in bed over and over again. And she kept hearing my voice, Kimberly, saying, go get my heart checked. Go get your heart checked. So she had gone to the doctor, got an appointment finally, and with her cardiologist, she got on a stress test. And I guess within 24 hours, she was in for surgery getting a mitral valve replacement. And the doctor said, you better, who told you? And she goes, my medical intuitive medium in this group class. He goes, you better go and tell her thank you because she saved your life.
Oh god, yeah, you tell that story so much better. I tell perfect strangers about that story. I was like, "Oh my gosh, my friend Kimberly Meredith and her guides save people's lives," and you really do. I mean, it's
And
incredible. Thank you, my friend, from all of us to you for the work you do and your guides do.
yeah, and even Jennifer, I don't even tell the story that great because what happened is her husband made an appointment with me, and it it really touched me because they both came on, and he said, "Hi." And I'm like, "Hi." He goes, "I'm the lady's husband that you did a scan on in the room." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "We made an appointment." I feel like crying. "We
Oh,
made
that's
an
nice.
appointment with you. I'm the husband that was the skeptic that was in the room the night that you told me that my wife had a heart problem." And I'm like, "Yes." And he goes, "We're here just to say thank you because the doctor said you saved her life." And she's
Oh,
laying in the
ah,
bed. And I'm like,
Oh, oh my God, that's so powerful. I'm totally crying right now and I have no tissues. Damn, I shouldn't have had you bring that story up.
the guides are blinking 555. So a lot of times I'll come on and somebody will come on. Another quick story is this one girl, she's in my book. She came on to talk about an issue with her boyfriend and her having some um relationship issues. And the reason why this is important about the fifth dimension is she had been, and I could talk about it because it's in the book about a miracle healing. She was having some issues with her boyfriend, and this is a relationship where he's more in the third dimension, she's more in sort of a fifth dimensional energy frequency,
Cool.
and they were just kind of having some imbalance in that happening. Doesn't mean they need to break up. It just means they need to work on those issues.
Yeah.
And she came on and she wanted to talk about that with me. And I love doing that. And the guides do that and help people with spiritual counseling. So I do that. But the whole time she's on talking about that, I can't stop fixating on the left breast. And I'm getting chills. And she's, such a sweet, dear heart. And she's just talking the whole time about it, and I'm trying to focus on it, but I keep going over the left breast and I'm getting chills. So I said at the end, I said, you need to get your left breast checked. And she's like, there's nothing wrong with my left breast. And I said, there's something over there. And she said, okay, I'll go get it checked. And sure enough, it's cancer.
Mm.
And so, but the good news was that she took action right away, and she was completely healed.
I mean, it's remarkable, Kimberly. You never think of these sort of things. And I think what's really mind-blowing is how many nurses have transitioned into being medical mediums. And the fact that you too were a nurse because you really know the physiology of the body. And I've met many other people. One of our other healers on Om Heals, Tim, is also a medical medium. And I admire superheroes like you and Tim and all the other incredible medical mediums and nurses. The stuff you guys can do, it really does show us we all have these fifth dimensional superpowers, which is the whole point of what you and I are going to do in the class and what you talk about in the book, is that there's this evolution, and that really is the word. There is this evolution happening and this awakening happening to help us realize and remove the veil, remove the curtain behind the Wizard of Oz, and be like, oh, we all have these capacities to sense in ourselves and in one another, and you can even feel it. I am not a medical medium. Definitely want to put that out there. And I remember I did some classes online, some Jose Silva classes. It was all about learning to scan the body, and I'm not a nurse. And I remember a dear friend of mine, I was at a retreat in Dubai, and I could just see something was off. Like, you don't even know, like, I'm not a medical medium. I didn't want to say anything. And I was like, "Oh God, I hope he's okay. And do I tell him? Do I not? I can't imagine how hard the internal struggle must be with you." And so finally I pull him aside and I just said, "Buddy, are you okay? Like, I love you and I'm just concerned there's something off." And he confided in me because he was one of the people running the retreat. It was a big, important retreat. And he said, "Jen, I am really not well. I'm dealing with this and that." And it's just so weird that physiologically, though, you can just read. We all have these intuitive abilities to sense, even if you're not a medical medium, to sense with friends and with loved ones. And I think it's incredible what you're teaching people, Kimberly, about this ability, this innate natural ability and knowing that we have about ourselves as well as those we love and those around us.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, and I love your teachings too. They're so beautiful. And I think us combined in our class, we're going to have so many great techniques and teachings of how to get in the fifth dimension, also being aware and conscious of what we eat, environmental health conscious tools. This class is going to be so awesome. And it's 7 days, and it's
Yeah,
every
7 weeks.
night.
It's every week for 1 hour, and it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. We're going to talk about how to connect to personal resilience. And
Yes.
this is all interwoven together. How to cope with the stresses of life. We're all human and we all have pressures. We have spouses, children, parents,
Yeah.
friends, frenemies.
Yeah.
It happens. And then the question is, how do we elevate our consciousness? And it's not about perfection. I think that's an important thing to know about what Kimberly and I are talking about now and what we're going to cover in the class. I
Yeah.
think it's unfulfillable for you to expect yourself or anybody else to be perfect all the time and in that state of consciousness and elevated awareness. Though I will tell you the analogy I always like to use, Kimberly, about being superhuman, it's like Batman. Batman is the only superhero I'm aware of who is human. He doesn't have any special superpowers, but what Batman does have is his super tool belt of tools to help him be resilient in face of whatever enemies he comes across. And that's the way I look at our class, is that we're going to empower everyone to understand the natural tools and gifts that we all have. So if you find yourself falling off a medical or proverbial cliff in your life, a breakup, a loss of a job, financial impact, whatever it is, that you will have tools to be resilient and bounce back. Like earlier today, I'm going to be honest, Kimberly, I was like, over here, I was just like, some days you just go through a kind of a down period. I was like, oh, today I'm just feeling a little down. And so I was just kind of curled up in bed for a little bit, honoring myself, seeing what I needed. And that lasted about 20 minutes. Now, old me, maybe 20 years ago me, that would have incapacitated me for days or weeks or months, or some of us decades. So the question is, do you still allow yourself to feel the sadness, the depression, the anxiety? Allow it, acknowledge it. And then how do you become resilient in the face of whatever challenges you may face?
Do you know what that is, Jen? Because you are shifting into the fifth dimension. When
Mm.
people are feeling like that, that's because when you stay in bed all day, you're more in a third dimensional consciousness. When you're shifting more into a fifth dimensional state of being, you bounce back faster. I
Yeah.
talk about that in the book, and also want everybody to know when you are shifting faster into 5D awareness, you are a bouncer. You're not stuck in 3D all the time. 3D is depopulating. As you're seeing, so many are leaving the world. When you're in the 5D world, we're doing a class called the superpowers. You will be ignited into that energy. The fifth dimension is awesome. You're fearless. You're motivated. But like Jen is saying, do you feel that every day? No. You may want to stay comfy, cozy in bed for an extra 20 minutes, but guess what happens? Jen is the perfect example. She jumped out and got going back into her 5D superpower mode.
Yes,
Woohoo!
and I have to give credit where credit's due. I think it
See?
enhances the relationships. It's the relationships we have, Kimberly, like my friendship with you, my friendship with Noah, my incredible husband. I think that we're all starting to notice. One of my prayers, if I may share it, this is one of my favorite prayers when people say, Jen, I'm really struggling with my life. And you can say this to whoever you believe in, whatever, Gaia, energy, source, God. I say this out loud every day. I say, God, universe, please
Yes.
remove anything or anyone who is not meant to be in my life and give me the wisdom to know it's happening for my good. And I kid you not, Kimberly, it has been miraculous, is the only word in the last 2 years since I've been saying this. I have magical spirits like you, like everywhere I go around the world. It's just like these incredible human beings come into my life. And sometimes people leave. And thank God I have the wisdom, because when we are in those 3D consciousness modes, the greatest thing we can do, aside from providing ourselves with what we need, which is, step one, which we're going to teach you in the class, is to also be able to count on your family, your friends, your spouse, your kids. It's just to surround yourself with an environment that is conducive to vibrating in that higher dimension more often rather than less.
Exactly. That's beautifully said. Beautiful.
Yes, my
Just
friend. Well, tell me, we're clearly going to be doing this class. Are there any other tips that you'd love to leave our listeners or viewers with about how they too can connect and live a more fifth dimensional oriented life?
Yeah, I'll just leave a couple right now before we end our talk right now. I'd say just for right now, definitely take at least, you don't need to do an hour, but at least, 5 minutes a day of meditation,
Mm.
something that you feel close to right now. If you don't have my book, Awakening to the Fifth Dimension, Discovering Your Soul's Path to Healing, which is even on audio,
Have it on
Yes,
audio because you narrate it. So I want to do that shout out. You did a wonderful job narrating the book.
thank you. Thank you. And it's being sold everywhere. It's at Barnes and Noble and Amazon. There's some really nice meditational prayers there, but anything that you like to do, connecting to your breath, just taking some quiet time out. You could do a walk, you could do something by the water, anywhere that you feel comfortable, but just taking some of that extra time to yourself. A lot of us are just go, 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 go. But just really relaxing in those moments where you can connect to the omnipresent. That's so important, even in preparation for being with us for those 7 weeks. And just that will be your continuation for the rest of your life, listening to music, eating good, healthy food, drinking good, healthy water. 80% of our country is still drinking tap water. You want to make sure you're drinking some nice spring water. And I'll get into many more things in our class. So that's super important. And laughing, make sure you laugh. You want to make sure you've got good, healthy hormones. So thank you so much. Bless you.
Oh, you are the best, Kimberly. Tell people, aside from the book, Awakening to the Fifth Dimension, I believe your website is healingtrilogy.com. Is that right?
Yes, yes, the Healing Trilogy, thehealingtrilogy.com. My spirit guides and angels wanted that name. It came to me one night. I just got up and did some channeled writing, and they wrote out thehealingtrilogy.com. And that's where I'm at if you want to find me. And I'll be working with Jennifer doing this beautiful class. So, really excited.
Yeah, so we look forward to having you there. And again, the class will begin on April 27th for 7 weeks at 11 a.m. PT for 1 hour each week. You can also go to my website as well. It's metabizics, metabizics, .com/fifth, 5th, the number. And that will also take you to the registration link, or Kimberly, of course, has it on her website as well. And we are just so grateful to have you here. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. You can also go to our website, om-heals.com, om-heals.com, and you can find a link to the course there as well. So we are so grateful. Kimberly cannot wait to partner, collaborate, and play with you in the infinite fifth dimensional consciousness space. And with each and every one of you out there, we're looking forward to having you be a part of this incredible journey that we all get to go on together. Come join us
Yes,
and play with us.
yes, can't wait. Can't wait to do some readings also. We're excited about doing some readings too.
Oh my gosh, yes. Kimberly's readings are incredible. I've referred so many people to her. She really is the best in her class at what she does. So thank you, my friend. Love you. Can't
Thank
wait to play
you.
with you more.
Bye, everybody.